Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Karak with Mehreen show. I'm so excited about today's guest. She's an investor, she's a speaker, she's a CEO, she's revolutionizing the science industry with her investments. She's also a badass woman who lives her life on her own terms as an alien, as she says it. Let me please welcome Saba Yussouf.
Thank you. I am humbled by your introduction. Thank you so much.
I always get excited doing introductions, but yours was particularly different, especially because you used the term alien. And I was so curious to know why you used that particular term.
I never called myself an alien. It was growing up. Everyone was convinced I
that
was
you're
one.
an alien.
So I just embraced it. I said, fine, let me go back to my planet.
So why do you think people used to call you then?
I think, look, I grew up in London. I went to school in central London, and I think there's this conformity that people expect you to align with. And I just never did. And no one understood. And my parents, they're also quite unique. They're very modern Pakistani parents, and they always pushed me to be educated and don't worry about marriage and all that. They were the cool kids growing up. But I think they produced
someone that was a little too...
a bit too cool. So it was just different. You know, I really did feel a bit like an alien, and perhaps not in the positive way we can joke about it now. You know, when you're young, everything is so sensitive.
True.
So it was kind of negative.
Yeah. So
and I wasn't fitting into that box that everyone desperately needed me to fit in.
So did you get bullied for it? How was your experience?
No, actually, I didn't get the chance to get bullied because in school I didn't have any friends.
Oh.
So there was no one to bully me. I had about 3 friends in high school, and it's only until probably I went to university that I kind of felt comfortable in my skin. So I became my real self, who I thought I actually was. I figured out who I actually was. So then I became a bit cool. I had more friends in uni.
But why do you think you were not comfortable to be yourself in high school?
I think I was facing a bit of an identity crisis. My parents are Pakistani. I was born and raised in London. And like I said, my parents weren't like other Pakistani parents in the sense that they had family values and all of that, but they really wanted me to be educated, to put other things first. Maybe their priorities were not like other Pakistani parents' priorities,
like
even within the family. Like my mum's sisters and my dad's brothers, they're all quite different to my parents.
Yeah.
So we would feel it even in the family, you know, are we different? Why are we so weird? But my parents also taught me just to be myself. And whatever that looks like, you know, go for it. So growing up, when you're so young, that's very confusing.
Yeah.
I'm so grateful and thankful that they were that way with me. But when you don't know life, you don't understand life, it's a really weird feeling.
Yeah.
And it is a bit lonely as well. So I had to grow up and kind of discover who I really am, because I was almost given a blank slate to say, go find yourself, which has its positives
Pros
and negatives.
Cons, yeah.
So I am very grateful to my parents. But yeah, I had a huge identity crisis growing up, you know, because I'm brown, but I'm British, and my accent isn't like other people's. And I go to school in central London, and in my school, it was, you know, I think I was one of 3 brown girls in the whole school at the time. Yeah, so I also didn't understand that. I was confused why there are not more brown people here, and then you figure things out, and things start to make sense, and then you kind of figure it out on your own. Which, like I said, it's very good, but it also can be tricky.
Do you wish there was a little more guidance?
I think if I did have guidance, I might not be the person that I am today. Not saying that I'm better or worse than another, but I'm very happy with where I've got to mentally. So I wonder, if I did have guidance, would I be on a different life path? Yeah. Perhaps. And we'll never know what that was like. But I when I have my own kids, I think I would be quite similar. I think I would want them to discover, even if it's a bit harsh, because life is harsh. But I think the identity crisis really came from me being given the opportunity to figure out who I am. I knew that I was Pakistani. I knew that I was British. I knew that I had family values that I liked. I knew that I had cultural beliefs that I didn't like. But that actually wasn't my identity crisis. It wasn't the being brown part. It was actually just being alive part. Yeah, so it wasn't, I'm not suicidal or anything like that, but I didn't actually understand why I'm alive.
Oh, like what are you here for?
Yeah, so I think I had an existential crisis quite early on.
Wow, like in high school or earlier?
Yeah, probably even younger.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, maybe when I was about 10, 11, I didn't understand why I was here, why I had to be here. It wasn't making sense to me. That was my crisis.
Oh, that's interesting.
And I, we didn't have Google back then, so I would kind of try to read books and try to understand, but there wasn't such topic ready to be discussed in books. So I had to think, okay, what is an identity crisis? It's when you're not comfortable with who you are today. Otherwise, you wouldn't be in crisis. So I had to think, but who then do I want to be? Where am I comfortable? Because then I wouldn't feel there's anything wrong with my identity. So it was almost my subconscious telling me that I need to push for something different.
Wow, that's such an interesting realization to have at such a young age.
Yeah, it was weird.
Yeah, like I can't believe it, because a lot of the things that you're talking about are also things that I kind of felt in terms of, but not at 10. Yeah. Like it was like much later on.
Sure, yeah.
So, because in terms of, I'm Pakistani, born and raised here, but yours probably is very different because UK and Pakistan are two completely different societies. True. So it must have been very, very difficult to kind of figure out on your own.
Yeah, it was. You're bringing all the memories back now that I'm thinking about this, because like I said, I didn't have many friends in school. And I'm quite an introvert anyway, so friends don't come to me naturally.
But do you think you still are?
Oh yeah, definitely. Oh yeah. I mean, I've had my Dubai friends for the past 10, 15 years of my life. It's quite rare that I make a new friend. And most of my friends are extroverts. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think introverts like to pick up extroverts and they like to pick up extroverts.
Oh yeah, that's also true. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm definitely...
So do you think that the extroverts get to talk a lot more in the groups? Like how are the social settings like?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. So in big groups, I'm quite quiet.
Okay.
And it's not that I don't have anything to say. I just prefer to listen.
Yeah.
And I understand that extroverts really need their time and attention. So I'm happy to give it to them. That's all it is. And when I'm one-on-one or one-on-two, I do best. I feel very comfortable. I feel very open. And I feel I can have a conversation or put my opinion out there.
Yes.
In a large group, I understand that there are some people that just need it more. So I just give it to them and I'll get back to you later kind of thing.
You're just generous with the attention.
I'm like, whatever. I'm usually sitting in the corner and I just speak to one person. Because that is my comfort zone.
Makes sense. Yeah, I didn't know that. Like, that's not the... That's also showcases how social media is so different, because even now when I'm talking to you, it doesn't feel like that. So that's interesting.
I think social media it's so amazing. It has so many benefits. And one of those is that, well, for me, I got to speak to just one person, which was a camera.
Oh.
So for me, I really like that.
So that was comfortable for you.
It's very comfortable for me. Just being alone and just talking crap, whatever comes into my mind, and you can listen or not listen, it's fine. But I get to have a voice.
Interesting.
Yeah. And when I do public speaking, which I do quite a lot, again, I feel like I'm alone. Mm-hmm. There. I feel like I'm in my own head and I'm just talking.
Room, yeah.
So I don't feel like I'm in a crowd of 1,000 people. Yeah. And the memories of my childhood, they're all coming back to me now. And I remember when I was in junior high school, on Monday morning, everyone would come in and then they would say, oh, where were you this weekend? Or what did you do this weekend? And they would have all these cool plans. And then when someone asked me, I said, oh, I was at my nanny's house.
I mean, that's fun.
Weekend.
That's every single weekend. Yeah.
And I wasn't allowed to go to sleepovers.
So people probably stopped asking you then, because then they know your answer.
I know, because my parents, like I said, they were quite strict on family values. So we had to be with the family and the extended family on the weekend, which I love. Now I look back on it so fondly. Back then,
But
I
during
thought it
that
was
time,
torture. And my parents were quite strict on me. So if ever I wanted anything, I understood that I had to work for it, and I had to do household chores. Even though we had a maid, we had a cook, cleaner, whatever, I had to do chores in the house. And when I went to my nanny's, she would make me like scrub the floor with a toothbrush.
Oh, even your nun?
Yes.
Oh,
yeah. She was hardcore because she was trying to teach me.
Wow. Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, she would spoil me afterwards, but I remember I had to do all these things.
I mean, it definitely helped you in your journey. Yeah.
I'm going to do the same with my kids. I'll send them to your house to scrub your floors. Because they have to learn.
Yeah, this is honestly, that's whatever your parents teach you to do, like they give you love, they shower with you love, but like these type of little things that they tell you to do in the moment, it's like torture. Like as you said, it's so annoying, but later on you realize it a lot, and it's the same.
It really shaped me.
Yeah,
it really did. It taught me a lot of discipline.
Yeah, that's very interesting. And going back to what you were talking about your family and how it was very different from other Pakistani families, I wanted to understand more about why you think your family was so distinct, because as you were saying, family values was very much there, which is how Pakistanis usually are. So what do you think made it so different? You were talking about education, and I think education is also something that a lot of Pakistanis are promoting.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, which is nice to see.
So I wanted to understand more about like what you think was different.
So if I just use real life examples. My dad had a lot of brothers. My mum had a lot of sisters. So it was always a busy house, which was amazing. And I remember some of my mum's sisters would wear a headscarf. And my mum, she was quite flamboyant. She was a lawyer. She was out and about. She was cool. And she didn't pray 5 times a day. So I would ask my mom, why don't we do that? And I thought it was just the worst thing ever. I said, how? I was like, are we allowed? Like, is this okay? And I didn't understand. And she was trying to tell me her version of Islam, which is, she would at night read the Quran, but she didn't necessarily pray 5 times a day. And she, didn't wear a headscarf, and she actually had short hair because it was trendy back then. And this was all just weird to me. And I almost felt that we were doing something wrong.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Because I felt we were judged.
Okay, so that came from judgment. Because I wanted to understand why you would think that would be wrong.
I felt that we were judged as a family for being different and modern. And say my dad, of course, like a lot of people now put a lot of pressure on education, which is fantastic. But my dad, when we're sitting with uncles and family friends, he would say, no, my daughter is going to go to university, and then she's going to do this, and then she's going to do this. And then maybe later she can get married. I don't care when she gets married. And the other uncles would just look at him in shock.
Yeah.
Like he's just writing out my funeral. And then I would also think, oh no, is this really bad? Should I go be a child bride? I don't understand.
This is what
so confused.
This is what judgment can do to you, honestly.
Yeah, we're aliens. Yeah. It was just things like that.
But would these like aunties and uncles like talk to you directly? Like how did you feel judged? Okay.
Some of them. Yeah. And they would kind of take me aside. Sometimes, family friends, and say, you need to do this, and you must get married quickly now. And I was just a kid, and I was like, okay.
Oh my God, that's crazy. They're like, if your parents aren't doing anything, let me. This girl must be married.
Let me save her. And my parents. So I graduated when I was 21 from London, and I was never really interested in drinking alcohol, but both my parents, they drink wine, so because they're wine lovers. So my mom likes white wine, my dad likes red wine, so they taught me about wine. But I think because they never put any pressure about alcohol, so I was never really into it, because I didn't really think of it as some bad thing.
Yeah.
So I would enjoy some wine now and then, but I didn't really care. And when we finished university, I would, you go on holidays with your girlfriends and whatever. And I noticed there was a big difference in our upbringing, because they would just be so thirsty to get drunk and be wild. And I just had no interest, because they never put that kind of restriction on me. So you almost are not interested.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. Because for you, it was like there was no restriction. So you just because when there is a restriction, that builds curiosity.
Totally.
So for you, it's just like,
It's a forbidden fruit.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But for you, it's just like, I've tried it. I don't like it.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah.
But then why do you think your friends, because for them, it's not a restriction either, but for them, it's like they need alcohol. So why would that be in their society or in their culture, in their upbringing?
I guess it would depend on what relationship they had with alcohol.
Okay. Yeah.
Or being on holiday
Growing up.
alone or something. You know, my dad let me go to, I remember my first holiday alone, I was 14.
Oh, wow.
And he let me fly. There were our family friends. I'm in south of France. Or, you know, the air stewardess helps you and sits with you and whatever. But he said, no, she must learn to fly alone.
Wow.
You know, and this was just not really heard of in our community.
Yeah.
But he pushed me. And even at my old age I was 31, I traveled to Saudi by myself because previously, you know, you always had to go with a man.
Oh, yes.
And I had a work opportunity to speak at FII, the Future Investment Initiative.
Yes.
And he said, no, you go alone. And you just manage.
Yeah.
And you just learn, okay, you have all the support and someone taking care of you and this and that. But it was my first time going to Saudi as a woman alone, and people were like, no, what are you doing? And he just pushed me to just be independent and be better, because you learn how to do things.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
By yourself.
You don't learn until you actually try it.
Yeah.
And that's beautiful to see how he wanted you to be independent. He wanted you to learn that for yourself.
Yeah.
And it takes a lot of courage for parents, because of course parents get worried.
Of course, yeah.
And I mean, you're his daughter. Like that's just bound to happen. But it's so cool to see that.
He's a cool guy.
Yeah. That's so beautiful. Yeah, I love that. So how's your relationship been like with your family?
It's, you know what, it's a mixed bag. I'll say, I won't lie and pretend that it's all roses, because you know how people talk about marriage, that marriage is work. I wouldn't know, but I think also family is work. Even my sister, I love her. You know, I don't think I love anyone more than her. And she's 11 years younger to me, and we've just been through it, and it just makes you stronger. And I think family works if you don't go against the family. I've learned this, just don't go against the family, because family members are ones that you end up just forgiving. True. You know, you do hurt each other, you forgive each other, but you're always one unit at the end of the day. And it was tricky because my parents got divorced when I was very young. I was 13. So the unit split up, and then we had to work on getting it back together so everyone could get along. And my sister was so much younger than me. So it was all just, my childhood was just one big confusion, to be honest. But now I think very clearly because of all the confusion. So I see people that, I see people that had beautiful, amazing childhoods. But now they're going through their confusion phase. So at least I've been through it.
That's such a good point, actually. Yeah.
I've been there, done that. So my relationship with my mum, it was very rocky when I was growing up. We weren't, you know, the best of friends, and then we worked on it. Sometimes we're up, sometimes we're down, but we love each other. And my dad and I are super close, but we fight, we bicker, you know, on things, we disagree. We're just a normal family.
Yeah,
basically.
But was it hard to kind of, especially when you were saying that the relationship was rocky with your mom and so on. So how was it like getting that relationship back, you know, like making it stable?
Hard work.
Yeah.
Really, really hard work. Especially when, so my mother has a very strong personality. Like I said, she's a lawyer. So it's not easy to communicate with strong personalities. It takes patience.
Yeah.
You know, there are many times in a relationship, whether it be family, whatever, even a work relationship, you just feel like giving up. And if you're patient, it really does pay off. If it's really what you want, I think you got to just keep trying.
Yeah.
You know?
I think that's the point you made about how like marriage is work, all of these things are work, but even family is work. I think that's something people take for granted.
Yeah,
because
we all do.
Yeah, like I do that a lot.
Yeah.
Like, you know, there's a lot of times I tell you that during weekends I go back to Elaine because my family's there, but like a lot of times I have an episode in the weekend or I have this and that. So a lot of times I stay here. I don't meet them for like a few weeks, and I take that for granted because I'm like, they're there. I can always meet them, but I cannot always do this.
No, exactly. Yeah. And I think also, yes, we take family members for granted, but family members also treat each other really well. So we are forgiving, you know, my dad knows when I'm hormonal, I'm just so snappy. I'm so mean. He just knows.
He just stays patient.
Stay away from her. Leave her alone. And you just, I don't know of anything that's more important than family, actually. And it's never perfect, according to what I've experienced, but I don't know anything more important.
Yeah. And more than just, you were talking about how your family was different, so you used to get judged. And so I think that judgment, I mean, you are a very like unconventional woman. Like everything that you've done, it's like so cool and so unique. It really showcases how you are as a person. Even when you talk on social media, it really shows that you are you, and like you don't care about what other people say. Like you're so sassy on social media, which I love. You are like, I love it. So that really shows your personality. But you probably still get judged a lot. I mean,
for
lots of things. So how has that journey been?
All the time. Probably I would say every day.
On social media,
in real life. Yeah. You know, walking down the street, people that don't know me, they actually judge me the most. Probably.
So how?
Gossip that comes back to me, DMs on Instagram, emails. I get random emails of abuse. Yeah.
Wow.
But I just, what people don't realize is that I don't care. So I know I have a lot of haters that really want to try to hurt me, but they end up just hurting themselves because it must take a lot of energy for them to do that.
To send that whole email, like...
I read it and I feel nothing, which is really, really nice. And actually one of my best friends taught me this trick. Dr. Vali, I have to thank her and give her credit. She taught me this trick called Not a Problem, NAP. And I even have it as my home screen on my phone.
Okay.
So anytime someone says something to you that you maybe just can't digest or it's hurtful, I just say, not a problem. And because I say it, it somehow just ricochets off me.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
This is going to be late. Not a problem. Your products are too expensive. Not a problem. I don't like how you dress. It's not a problem. And if it's not a question, and maybe if it's just a statement, I just say noted. Noted. Sometimes you should see my text to some people. It's just noted. Because then you just don't care.
Yeah.
And when you don't care what people think, it is the most beautiful feeling in the world. Really, it's the best feeling in the world because you finally let yourself out of the prison. And the irony is that you put yourself in the prison in the first place.
Wow. Yeah.
We all have our own choices to make.
Yeah.
No one makes them for us, whether you have controlling parents or not. If you move with integrity, you don't ever have to question yourself. If you're always trying to be good and you're trying to download like a good version of yourself, then you don't have to think twice about your decisions because you're coming from a good place. If you're a bad person, then yeah, I can imagine everything will just mess with your head. And when people say things to you, you might think, oh yeah, am I like this? But when you have integrity, you really know yourself. So you don't have to worry about what anyone thinks. It's just such a waste of time.
But it's probably very hard to develop that, integrity. Because like, I mean, I feel like I also do things with integrity. I have like that level of honesty within myself, but it's hard to just forget, because even for example, if you have parents or if you have a family that also thinks about what other people think, because that's just in Pakistani society, that influences you as well.
Yeah, because you care about them.
Yeah, you care about your family. Yeah, exactly. And if they are worried about it, you start feeling worried about it.
I know. I think I used to be like that as well. In my 20s, definitely, I was still finding myself. I'm 35 now, so I think when I hit 31, I figured out life a bit. I'm sure I have a lot to learn. And when it comes to maybe hurting people that you love, I think if you're not crossing a really major boundary, they also must respect your growth as well.
Yeah.
You know, it just can't be a one-sided thing. I think communication is really key. Like my dad, questions me he's the one that made me into this rebel. And my dad asks me all the time, why did you do this? Or why did you say this? And I said, look, I am my own person. So this is my journey, good, bad, whatever. Let me live it.
Yeah.
If I'm not harming anyone, hurting anyone, then you got to give me that space. Otherwise, where is evolution? If we're all trying to stay the same and we're making our kids the same, we're not evolving, we're actually going backwards, because time is moving forwards, we're not going forwards, hence we're going backwards. So we have to promote evolution, and that comes from making our mistakes and learnings. And I get judged all the time because, I wear short skirts, or I go out, whatever, I have a life. And every time I hear or read a comment, I realize that they have a big problem with themselves. Because when they're talking, actually the problem isn't really about me.
Yeah, it has a
and I make a point to dress how I want. I make a point to tell people my age, because some women try to hide it, or the fact that I'm not married. I really talk about it a lot, not because I'm trying to show off that I'm not married. It's because I'm trying to show people that it's okay.
It's normal. It's okay. Yeah.
There's nothing, if you choose to wear a short skirt, or if you are unmarried or divorced or whatever, as a woman, as a man, whatever, it's also okay. And those people that are doing that have to be brave. So people like me that put myself out there and do unconventional things, we have to be so fearless, so brave if we want to break the boundary. Because the conversations that I had growing up, whether I was, 11, 12, or even in my 20s, I don't want the next generation to have those conversations.
Wow.
So if I can prevent that from happening, I will. And it really comes from putting yourself out there. Right. And I mean out there. And you're open to criticism. But if you can't take criticism, then I don't think you're cut out for this.
Yeah.
That's the thing, because it's harsh.
Yeah. I can imagine, like the way you were saying that you have to be brave, that's so true. It's definitely a lot of courage to just have that like wall to block out anything that comes to you, because people will always judge no matter what you do. Like I always tell this to my mom and to my parents that like even if you do good, if you do bad, people will always talk, like no matter what I do.
Exactly.
So it's like so annoying to keep thinking about them, because they're gonna talk regardless. Like I can never be right in their eyes.
No, they're gonna say something anyway. Because like I said, it's usually them that have the problem. With themselves. Yeah. So they have to take it out on something outside so that they feel better. And some people just rant and rant, even people that I know. And I just sit there thinking, I don't even think about you. I don't. Exactly. I don't even know your last name. Because I'm so busy on my mission. Yeah, and I know exactly what I want to do in my life. I have my path, and so people don't affect my path.
So I think it also has to do with the fact that you have a clear vision. You probably have like a clear sight to where you want to be or who you want to be. And that also plays a huge role in preventing, that.
Yeah, I think you said it. I don't have a clear vision of where I want to be, because to be honest, I have no idea, and I think you can't control it, but I definitely know who I want to be. I'm always just want to be better. And I really, really care about the future. Like after we're all gone, that's what I really care about. Yeah. Because I don't believe, I'm going to get into the philosophical aspect of my brain.
Yes,
but
I love
even
it.
though you didn't ask for it.
No, let's go. I love it.
I believe that, okay, have you heard of simulation theory?
No.
It's a theory that perhaps we are in a simulation game.
Okay.
And there are controllers playing with their PlayStation controller, and we are just pawns in their game. And they're controlling our moves. And I know it sounds crazy, but if you think about it, humans made a computer made AI. So who are you to say that someone didn't make us? And right now, you probably couldn't prove that we're not in a simulation, but you also can't prove that we are in a simulation. So until you can prove one or the other, it's an option, right?
There's a debate. Yeah.
You never know. So when you ask me who you want to be, I really think that life is a game. my sister, she's younger to me, and she used to be obsessed with this game called Sims. And I've never played it, but I would always sit and watch, and I think, what? I don't get the attraction. How do you put time into it? I never understood. She would sit there for hours. She still does.
Oh, wow.
It's so therapeutic for her. She loves it. But what I realized, I'm watching her, there's no end goal. So when you finish the game of Sims, eventually, before you buy a new one, you just finish the game. It was just about the experience. You didn't achieve anything. There's no reward at the end. There's no prize.
Oh, is it like, it's like Minecraft? Is it like Minecraft where you just keep building stuff and like there's no end game?
I believe you just build a life and like you have a family and whatever. You go to the store and you cook food but there's no reward at the end of Sims. So that I had this epiphany of like, oh my God, I'm just a Sim.
Oh my
God. I'm just a Sim. Wow. And don't get me wrong, I believe in God, I believe in the universe, all of it. But when you think of life that way, you kind of don't feel any pressure.
Yeah.
The only pressure I feel is that I just want to be the best that I can be. Whatever that looks like, good, bad, ugly, left, right, whatever. But I just want to be the best Sim because I want to have the best experience. And that doesn't mean bad things don't happen to me. Bad things happen every day, especially when you're running different businesses. But it just takes the pressure off. You just deal with things. It's not a problem.
It's not a nap.
It's not. Because in Sims, they don't get stressed.
Yeah.
So why
they're
are
just
we
living life?
Yeah. Yeah. I've always thought this.
I love that.
And it really does take the pressure off things and it makes you a bit more fearless, I would say. And because I think of life this way, I'm ready for any experience. And that's why when we were discussing, the podcast topics, we were discussing maybe, divorce or being single. And I said, yeah, let's talk about it because I forget that people think these things are a problem. Right? And we have to raise awareness and we have to keep talking about it until people realize it's not a problem.
Like it's nap. Like that's gonna be the title of this video. It's nap. Yeah.
I should get t-shirts printed. Guys, I was telling my friend the other day, actually, she's such an amazing, beautiful, smart, intelligent woman, and she was stressed because she is in her 30s and she's not married. And we were sitting in the back of my car. And I just had a day. I had a long day. I was not in a good mood. She was talking to me. She's like, Sab, what am I going to do? I'm not married. I said, look, babe, why are you afraid that you're not married? Is it because you're worried about your mum's friends, all these aunties, gossiping about how you're not married? And I said, those aunties are going to die eventually. Yeah? And I said, you're going to die eventually. So I said, after you die, do you think anyone is going to talk about the fact that you got married 5 years later than people wanted to? Nobody cares.
Yeah.
I can't stress it enough. And it's the most liberating feeling. It's not that I have any bad thoughts about marriage. I think marriage is amazing. And if I get married, if I don't get married, it just doesn't affect my Sim life.
But do you want to get married?
Yeah, I would love to. I think I would definitely like to have a partner. And I would love to have kids. I don't really mind how I have them, naturally, or I wouldn't mind adopting kids. I think it's a really nice thing to do. I don't really mind how.
Oh, yeah, but that just showcased that it's just marriage is not something that you do because you have to do it. Yeah. It's something you would do because you want to do it. And it's not like anytime you do something because you feel pressured to do it, it will lead to some kind of like negative feelings, negative outcomes. And that's how our society is kind of built on, like the pressure of getting married at this age. And it's like, why? Like, and marriage is supposed to be something beautiful. So why are you taking out the fun of it? Like, why are you taking out the beauty of it?
That's so true. Okay, I have two things on that. Marriage, okay, well, it is kind of a social construct, but I understand the logic behind it. I think it's a lovely thing to have this unit. It's a really nice thing. Because my parents got divorced, I lost that unit and I thought my life was over. Really, really I did. So I understand the importance of that unit, which is why I really advocate marriage. But a lot of my friends, I'm 35, a lot of my friends, they ask me for advice. I don't know why they ask me because I'm also not married, but they say, oh, I feel like I'm too old to get married, and they're in their early 30s. And I don't understand, because at the age of 35, I feel way better equipped to be married now than I did 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And I've also noticed that like good quality, high value men, they prefer older women.
Interesting.
I've noticed this.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I've noticed a strong correlation, and I'm a stats person, so I really do study.
And this is the opposite of what like you would hear like Pakistani aunties saying.
Of course. Yeah, my best friends. I should do a podcast with them.
Yeah, that would be interesting debate.
I'll wear a miniskirt. No, I think that, older, mature, wiser men, they gravitate towards older women. Because when you're older, and I can't believe I'm saying older, I'm 35, but yeah, I'm old. We have our whole life's work to show for it. So when I speak to someone, I'm declaring myself to them like I am to you today. And I wouldn't be able to do that when I was 25.
When you were young, yeah.
That's the thing. So I feel men are actually more attracted to older women because they have things together and they turn out to be the woman that the man actually needs.
Interesting.
Yeah. And I'm all for young marriage. I think it's so sweet and so lovely, and it's something that I didn't experience. But I'm just saying it's not so bad if you do it later in life.
Yeah.
It's just not the end of the world.
And it's not like you're not gonna get a good man. Like that's
not
what
at
you're
all.
Yeah,
Not
that's
at
exactly what you're
all.
trying to say. Like I think that's the idea that's been engraved in our minds, which is what creates this pressure, is that, oh my God, I'm 21. Like I get talked about marriage now at like 21, and I can't imagine for you, like all the aunties and uncles.
Yeah, they've just given up on me.
Yeah. They're like, you do you.
Yeah. But I have a lot of cousins, because we have a big family, and I have a lot of cousins that got married at 18, 21. They have amazing lives.
Yeah,
they're
and it's
so happy. They have like 100 kids, and everyone is just so beautiful and cute, and they're happy, and I'm happy for them. But I knew that wasn't for me.
For you, yes.
I just had to grow into myself first. Otherwise, I probably would be a very bad wife.
That's what I'm trying to say. Like when I think about marriage now, like for me personally as well, like I feel like I know nothing. Like I haven't built myself yet. I don't even know who I am. Like how on earth will I be with a partner? So everything that you're saying about like if this is not the right path for you, in the end you're just not going to be a good partner. Like it's just counterintuitive. So.
And just remember, in the end we all die anyway.
I love that.
Just to take the pressure off. And I was telling my friend in the car, and she was just like, she's like, I said, I don't have capacity to make it pretty. It's just everyone's dying. So really no one cares if you get married.
No, but that really takes the pressure off of you. You're like, I mean, death is gonna come to all of us. Yeah. That's the best way to, I don't know, motivate yourself.
And don't get me wrong, I don't think life is horrible. I really do enjoy it. Yeah,
and you enjoy it because you were able to find your path in it, and I think everyone has that path. Yeah, it's just they need to be able to given the chance to find it.
And even if you don't, that's also okay. Some people don't want to find themselves; they don't want to dig deep, but we shouldn't judge them for that either.
Yeah,
I agree. Whatever works for you.
I agree.
Whatever you want.
And when you were talking about divorce and how this was also something that, I mean, your parents got divorced, and you've seen that. Yeah. So how do you think the society's perception was of divorced people, specifically divorced men versus divorced women? What do you think there's a distinction?
You know what? You're right, there is. But I will answer you based on both. Mm-hmm. Because I think men suffer as well. Mm-hmm. And no one needs to suffer. It shouldn't be that way, and it doesn't need to be that way. But of course, in our culture, in South Asian culture, when a woman is a divorcee, she's immediately there's like a pause. You have to double think, or take a moment to think. But it's okay. It's okay. Now, right? People are like that now, because before it was just not okay.
Not okay at
Now
all.
they're not divorced. Oh, it's okay. It's okay. But there's still that moment.
There's
when
still
you
that
think-
but. Yeah.
And I don't get it because I mean, I know people that have been married and had bad relationships, or they just wanted to uncouple. They're just not into each other anymore. Sometimes nothing dramatic happens. Sometimes something very dramatic happens. But why is it that usually the woman gets blamed?
Yes.
I don't understand.
That's exactly what I've seen. That if you see a divorced woman, you always think, oh, it's probably the woman's fault.
Yeah.
You know? And if you see a divorced man, that's not, I mean, again, they suffer a lot as well, but in society's view, they don't see the man as the fault.
Things are changing now. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I have Pakistani friends that have been divorced 3 times and they're living their best life. But why is it that the woman usually gets blamed?
blame.
And there's, shame on the whole family and it's gossiped about. And I just hope that it changes. You know, I really do. And also for men, for example, I know a few guys that have got divorced and I've known them for many, many years. And their wives claim that they're gay or impotent, their ex-wives. And that was the excuse that they divorced them. And I know for a fact that there were other problems. It wasn't that. But they also get tainted with that reputation.
Yeah.
It's quite a common thing.
Oh, yeah, true.
Now, that's also not fair.
Yeah.
But it's like a competition, who got better at it, who looks better after the divorce and whose family looks bad, whose family looks good, what should we say, what shouldn't we say. I really hope it changes, and it is, but too slow.
Yeah I think that, as you were like, I don't also know why this occurs, like why is there a certain blame and there's like a higher degree of blame. I think that women have always been seen as the people who stick the family together, like they're the glue.
And I think we are actually.
Yes, you have like this biological nature
it's
in you.
Hormones,
Exactly, and that makes sense. But I think because of that, it's like when a divorce happens, it's the woman who didn't do the job to glue you together. You know what I mean?
That's so true. Right. Yeah.
So it's interesting, but it's like, it's sad to see why that happens. And as you were saying, it is changing, but these things happen still a lot in society. It's slow. I don't know how long it'll take, but that's just...
I think if I were to offer advice to anyone that's going through divorce or being spoken about the family post-divorce, is that just don't worry, give it time, because eventually your presence and your truth will outweigh all the lies that are being spoken about you.
Yeah.
Because the truth really does come out. It sounds cheesy, but I've seen it over and over again with my own eyes. With myself, the truth does come out.
Yeah, that's great advice. I think that's like the worry that most people face afterwards. So yeah, honestly.
Yeah. I hope, our generation, I don't know if I count as your generation.
I mean, you're still really
Are you
young.
next gen?
I'm Gen Z.
I'm millennial.
Is that right before Gen Z? Yeah.
Okay. So we're in different generations. But I just hope that things change. My kids, your kids, their kids. And I do see that every 10 years, I really do see a change.
It's a generational shift.
Yeah, I mean, we complain this and that, but actually there's a lot of progress. Yeah. And I don't think every generation, every 10 years.
Yeah.
Because 10 years ago, things were different.
Very different.
And it really is because of people like me that are speaking about it and people like you that are asking the right questions. Because this is how we get our message out there. We can try to be a good person and, try to do well in school, but actually we need to show up when it matters. Yeah. We don't just show up when it's convenient. We can't just pipe up when it suits us. We have to almost go into an uncomfortable space where it's not easy to talk about things, because that is what's going to move society forward. And you ask about society pressure, and I mean, I still feel it. Ironically, in being a Pakistani British woman living in Dubai, there's all kinds of society pressure. But is society doing so well? When you really think about it,
true.
Are you proud of society?
True.
No,
not at all.
No.
Yeah.
So I really don't care what they think.
Yeah, that's the best way to put it. Honestly, like the people who are judging you are like, is that society themselves perfect?
It's not a society that I want to be a part of.
Yeah.
Basically. Honestly, I feel that society has let me down in many ways. I think my family is what has kept me strong. It's given me the most strength I could ever ask for. But society and South Asian society has let me down a lot. And that's got nothing to do with the country, the religion, the culture. It's society.
It's society, yeah. But don't you think culture plays a role?
Oh, absolutely. You know, okay, you're Muslim, I assume.
Yes.
Yeah. So there is Islamic culture and there is the culture of Islam.
Oh.
And they're two very different things. And people get confused. Actually, I got confused the other day because, you know, you hear someone's opinion and then you hear another person's opinion about, oh, this is factually correct about Islam. This is actually what's the truth about Islam. And then I got confused. So I actually had to read the Quran in English because I can't read Arabic anymore because I had forgotten. And I've also read the Gita, I've read the Torah, I've read the Bible. I want to read a few more when I have time because to me, we're all praying to the same God, really. And maybe I'm irritating people by saying that, but it's just what I believe. And I think when you look at real religion, there's so many similarities. Even religions that are not of the book.
Yeah.
Even Hinduism, there's so many similarities. It's such an amazing religion as well. And then you realize what the culture of religion is. It's just not what we're being taught to this day and what we might even teach our kids. You know, I think we should be mindful because real religion is so pure and it's so amazing.
So what do you think real religion actually is?
I think it's about the morals, your moral compass. I think it teaches you and advises you what is right, what is wrong. And if you really go into the religious books, you see what they're actually trying to describe is so different to what we're taught. When I went to Islamic school when I was 4 years old, and she would slap me with the ruler, you know, if I didn't remember my surah properly.
Yeah, that's so wrong.
So my connotation of religion would be her slapping my hand because I would be thinking of that because I felt under pressure that I hadn't recited my surah
now
well
every
enough.
time you would think of Quran
and I'm
or
not
religion.
thinking of actually the beautiful religion.
Yeah, wow.
You know?
That's crazy.
I've got PTSD from that lady.
No.
You know, but she never went through it with me. Actually, what are they trying to say? Or what did this story mean to you or mean to the world or anything?
Yeah.
But I
It's
really
the lessons you learn from it. It's not like just learning it, not just gulping it down, but it's what are they trying to say? And I think I saw you mentioning that you read these different books. Why do you think it was important to learn about different religions?
You know, I didn't think it was important. I was just curious because, again, I was not understanding. I was not understanding why my parents are slightly less religious than the others. What is religion? Is it real? Is it fake? I just didn't know. So whatever I had time to read, I read, but I want to reread all the religious books now. So I can just refresh my memory because when you understand people's religion, I feel you understand people better.
Oh my God.
As well.
Yeah.
I can align with people better. And honestly, there's just so many similarities between all the religions in what they're actually trying to say.
Yeah. Recently, I actually pushed myself to start learning about other religions. I took a course as well. And so I started learning about Hinduism and the primal religions. And it was just so interesting that, of course, there's a lot of differences, but there's so many similarities in terms of like the wisdom that they want to give. Like every religion just talks about you being a good person, being nice, being good to your family, good to your community. Every religion talks about almost the same thing in terms of what values it wants you to adopt. Yeah. And it's just like there's so many fights that happen because of religion, so many problems, so many conflicts. But at the end of the day, like no matter what God you're praying to, the main idea is to just be a good person. I think that's just what religion talks about.
I completely agree and well said. And I think, you know, we should actually reread our religious book every 5 to 10 years or something, because then maybe people would, I don't know, have less hate in their heart. Honestly. Because I know people of all religion that they might pray and they might do the right thing, but I see all the bad things that they do as well, and they think that God's not watching. And then they want to punish people like me because I'm wearing a skirt. When I want to remind them that God really is watching everything. So just don't worry about me.
Worry about yourself. Yeah, that's good. And also, it's different because a lot of those people are probably doing things that are wrong. For sure, they're doing lots of things that are wrong, but in private, like they're secretive about it. And so when they see someone who's doing something that society doesn't usually accept, but she's doing it openly, so then they think it's completely wrong. But they're probably doing like really, really worse things in private, just in private.
Yeah, totally.
And so, I think religion is definitely an interesting topic in terms of how it influences people's behavior, people's minds. But when you actually read the books, when you read the text in translated, like so that you actually understand, at the end of the day, it's just telling you, it's just giving you some guidance on how to be a good person.
It's guidance,
Yeah. So that's pretty cool to see. And going away from the topic of religion, I wanted to ask you more about your life in general as a single woman. How has that been like? How are you navigating relationships? Is that also something that you are trying in your personal life?
Yeah, I mean, I've been single for quite a while, out of choice, and I go on dates. But I think because now I can gauge compatibility faster than maybe when I was in my 20s. I know what will work and what won't work. So there's no need to just invest time into something if I don't feel good about it. So because I have no pressure on myself, I put no pressure on myself. So I go on dates and whatever, and people are always trying to set me up and, do all of that. It's very sweet. I have amazing friends. But I think being a single woman, I just see it as just being a woman. So when you ask me, because I'm thinking, you asked me what's it like being a single woman, and I was thinking, I don't know.
That's a good point. That's such a good point. Oh my God. I just thought of what I asked as well.
No, I actually thought, I don't know how to answer that.
Because I'm just a woman.
So just like I might ask someone, what's it like being a married woman? That might be a strange question. I have so many married friends. I have so many single friends, and I don't kind of think about them differently. Yeah, to be honest, really.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, you're all just human beings. Like it doesn't matter whether you're married or not.
Yeah. But to broadly answer your question, I'm fine. I'm great. I'm great. Everything's fine, and you just go about your life. I mean, I think what I do try to consciously do is remember when I had relationships, remember what happened and where I went wrong, where they went wrong, and where I went wrong, I try to not be that person anymore.
Again, you learn from
because I don't think it's ever one person that's at fault. I think it really does take two. So that is something maybe I reflect on when it comes to relationships. But apart from that, I just see relationships as a really healthy, lovely thing. But I'll only kind of put time into it when I really want to.
Yeah, makes sense. And like, what do you think of sort of flings? I think what is your intention when you go into dating or when you go into relationships? Do you go into it thinking that this is something that could become long term, or what do you think?
Honestly, I go into it first. I need to get to know them, because how can you know if something is long term unless you know them?
For sure.
And I mean, just get to know them as a friend. It's pretty telling, and okay, I have a lot of friends that have flings. Who cares? Really, I think who cares?
Yeah.
Because they do get judgment, and I don't understand why. And don't get me wrong, I've been saying this whole podcast, don't judge anyone, nothing matters. No, everything matters. Don't get me wrong. I respect myself. I respect my health. But other people's choices, why does that matter to you?
Yeah.
But I might have one caveat to that, because I generally keep myself to myself. But if there's something where I see someone doing something really wrong or unjust or making a very big false claim, sometimes I have this urge to just put them in their place.
Yeah, that makes
That's
sense.
the Punjabi in me.
I love that.
I can't help it. Sometimes I just can't help it.
You just have to.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, no.
Sometimes
I think
gotta
in
say
that way it
something.
makes sense. It's just finding the balance.
Yeah.
I think,
Yeah.
like thinking of the situations where
Yeah.
someone has said something that's completely, I don't know, completely wrong, completely incorrect to say, judgmental, racist. I don't know.
Yeah.
And in that scenario, you have to speak up. I think
Yeah.
just knowing when to and when not to. That's maturity.
Yeah.
That comes with time.
I think I agree with that. And my last point about dating, if someone were to ask me advice, not that I'm a connoisseur or I'm still learning myself, to be honest. Actually, I need the advice. But one thing I have learned is if it's taking away your peace, it's probably not worth it. And I don't mean that you shouldn't try and you shouldn't be the glue in the relationship and the family, but peace is something that's just so sacred and everyone deserves peace. So if it's constantly taking away your peace, I think that is when my siren goes off and I understand that I need to not invest any more time in that.
So when you say peace, you mean like state of mind?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah, your happiness, literally just, the luxury of just having peace. So if I'm with someone and they don't understand me, I don't understand them, it's not going to be peaceful.
Yeah.
You can be great on paper, but you won't have peace.
Yeah. I think that's a interesting takeaway.
I'm all for compromise. I'm all for that. But peace is something that I don't know any relationship that can build without peace.
I think a lot of people say that they strive for happiness, they strive for this feeling of being content. But when you go into this path of life, this game of life, you realize that what you actually want is peace. And I've seen this a lot in podcasts and interviews, that eventually what you really want is just to feel like peaceful, like just to feel okay with where you are, what you're thinking, who you're with.
Yeah.
So I think that's definitely what you need to be striving for.
Yeah, it's the ultimate luxury.
Yeah, it really is. Thank you very much.
No,
for
thank you.
The hour just flew by.
Oh, I really enjoyed it.
So much.
Thank you for listening to all my rubbish.
No, it's not rubbish. I loved it. Thank you very much.
Likewise. Thank you for having me.
So much to learn. And I have a little gift for you.
I know
gift is your love language, as you were saying. So I'm happy you're excited about this. I hope you love tea. So
I love tea.
Yeah,
I love your
you said
tea.
you love karak. So
Oh my God.
I'm not sure if you've seen this before, but
No, I
you
haven't.
can open it up.
Oh, how pretty. This is so thoughtful of you. Thank you. Okay. Feel good tea.
Yeah, so you can. It's like a beautiful little tea box. So when you open it up, you'll see.
Oh, wow. Oh, it's personalized.
Hello, everyone. I'm so excited to introduce my partnership with Feel Good Tea. They're this amazing company that sells these beautiful tea boxes with a variety of tea flavors, which I'll showcase to you by opening this beautiful box. So as you can see, there's all these variety of flavors that are delicious, and Feel Good Tea, they truly value the love for tea that we Karak with Mehreen value as well. They love having tea. They love having conversations over tea. So because of this, I'm so excited for this partnership, and you can get this beautiful box too for yourself or for your family or friends using this discount code on the screen.
Dear Saba, every cup of karak has a story. Thank you for sharing yours with me. Hope you remember this flavorful conversation through these flavorful teas. That is so thoughtful of you. Thank you.
So these are all like the little tea, I don't know what to call it.
Spices?
Yeah. So yeah. And then all of them, like in this white paper, you will see like the names of.
It comes with instructions.
Yeah. And then that's like the little filter.
Oh, how cute. Thank you. Do I have to have that tea, that whole set?
I mean, you can just
put it in there?
No, you just need to. You can make it like on the stove, you know, in the thing.
The Pakistani way.
Yeah, the Pakistani way. You can
Cook
make
it properly.
That's real chai. So you can make it that way as well. Yeah.
Thank you. I will. I'll have this tomorrow. Thank you.
Yay! I hope you liked
that's
it.
so thoughtful.